So in the very last episode, we talked about a number of watches. We had about 9 minutes of just showcasing some of the watches that I've seen at Minutes and Hours. Now, keep in mind, when Minutes and Hours was happening, this was the 5th and 6th, right? Saturday and Sunday out there in Chicago, downtown. Beautiful spot, man. The location was perfect. And I mentioned before, I was used to it when I first got to or first learned about Minutes and Hours, which was Microlux. It was in a different location. They had 30 or 40 vendors, if that. And they were in one location on one floor. The next year, 2 floors. This year, it was crazy. We were on one floor, the 15th floor in Wolf Plaza. Really nice building. So towards the end of this video, I'll be giving you guys like my overall, like an overview or a review, what I thought. Could there have been something better? Is there something better than Minutes and Hours? This watch fair was going on at the same time as Watches and Wonders. Now, here's the competition. Like, as far as me being a consumer or watch enthusiast, whatever you want to title me as, I was aware of what was going on in Watches and Wonders. Tudor and Rolex was being talked about, IWC. There were so many different watches that I think are amazing. However, the difference between what I saw on there and what I experienced with this was you get a chance to talk to these people. You get a chance to talk to either the representative or the founder of a company. And let's get into it.
Designed for American pocket watch movement, which Richard is famous for doing. So it's designed for a 39 millimeter movement, which is huge, and they're also thick. So to do so, it made a really chunky watch. So since then, that was what we call the crash of 29. We produced those, the joint venture. Since then, I changed the dial out a little bit, same hands, and we have a brand new Swiss manual line here. It's $64.98.
Now, Rich Park, he's the founder of Minutes and Hours, and it's his job to do whatever he has to do to get these people to come in and showcase all their watches, right? So whatever he says, whatever, like, I don't know. I don't even want to know what he has to go through or the stress of actually running this thing, but he did an amazing job, right? One of the first watches that you come across when you walk through the door, you had Cincinnati Watch Company, but I went right over to Sar Bamba. That is nice. And if you like Richard Mille, if you like the style of Richard Mille, and anybody that knows about RM, that's an expensive brand. $320,000 or $375,000 to get started, and then it can go up from there. The design, I think, is just a great sports watch, but it's like, why even bother with that? Because average person that goes to work, works a 9 to 5, and you make $40,000 to $80,000, somewhere in between that. This is where Sarabama comes in.
This is the same series, but this one is fully interchangeable at $1,200 because it comes with the full kit. It just depends on what you want. This one comes the way it is.
Okay.
This watch was phenomenal. Of course, the representatives there, great guys, but the watch speaks for itself. I mean, they have anywhere from, I think their starting price is around $299, I believe, and goes up to $5,000. They had a number limited piece there. The watch was beautiful. They're comfortable. They're lightweight. Some of them do have some heft to them. There's just so many different designs and collections. I was blown away. I thought they had a great showing. Amazing watch. And I am considering, I'm going to add one of those to my collection at one point.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
So in the last episode, we talked about Christopher Ward, but I came back. I had to come back. I had to double back on Christopher Ward because Christopher Ward is, in my humble opinion, it's an iconic independent brand. I'm not calling them a microbrand. And the fact that Rich has them and invites them back, I love it. you get one of the best presentations from any watch company or vendor that I have experienced. And I've experienced a number. I was in DC Times. I've been to Wind Up a number of times. And Christopher Ward is definitely iconic, right? And we're going to talk about that in the upcoming episode. And seeing that we were in Chicago, Haim watches, right? You had actually three microbrands there. You had Haim.
Zakir Mia started the Haim Watch Company in Chicago in 2020. It was just one of more than 60 different watch brands at the Minutes and Hours Watch Show this weekend.
Oak and Oscar.
We are at the Minutes and Hours Watch Show that's happening this morning, and so there are over 60 different watch brands that are here, including ones that are local. And then Chase here is the founder of Oak and Oscar, which is based here in Chicago. So tell us a little bit about your brand and what makes it different.
And you had my man.
Your setup is crazy, man.
Trying to make it look pretty, right?
Oh, no, bro. This right here, man.
Farr And Swit. Shout out to Chase for giving such a dynamic. He did a dynamic job during the breakfast.
You're feeling that jump on that spring. That's the action there. And then
He did a dynamic job showcasing his brand and explaining what the brand represented. I love he used one term, not fans, not enthusiasts, but owners. I thought that was beautiful. Of all the watches that were there, I enjoyed all of them. I enjoyed all the presentations of every watch. Kokomo did a great job. I mean, and then of course, my man Adam caught him slipping right here.
Yup, got him.
But I loved each presentation. I love the attention to detail, and I love the fact that the energy, it was the people. Now, there was one thing that was great, seeing all these different brands and learning about it, but the people, the energy, man, it was just a vibe, man, and everybody was just into it, man. It was something else, man. But then here's the thing. Of course, there's brands that I learned about. This one brand, Berndardt, right? I've never heard of them, but this company was founded in 2005.
I have no idea.
Oh, sorry, bud.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
That's what I got.
Get one of these beauties.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that one.
That's my favorite. That is my favorite.
I've got a couple cars that are this color, so when I go, you know, that old cars I've had restored, that I always painted that maroon color, and I said I gotta have this.
You have to see the whole story. I'll put a link down there below because this brand is one that I have to add to my collection. So mark that off as I'm highly impressed with them. That was just one of 60 brands that I enjoyed there. And hold the presses. Hold the presses. Prior to this, if DC District Times, Wind Up, and Minutes and Hours, even Watches and Wonders, all got one thing in common, and it's the enthusiasts. It's the brands. It's the hype. But Canopy's website, man, or if you follow him on Instagram, man, and send a big congratulations. They put out a pre-order on a field watch. Their first watch that they came out with, which I found out through Minutes and Hours, actually bought the watch. I liked it. The only thing it had that was wrong with it was the loom. This time around, they come back with the field one. And as you see here on their website, they needed a particular amount of people subscribed to pre-orders. They got it. They went above and beyond. It was $4.99 for this watch. Now, this watch, if you go to their website, look at the description. Look at what they give you. I'm talking about that price. If you got in on that pre-order price, man, congratulations, man. But I do want to congratulate them because they had to extend it because I was like, man, it's not looking good. When I got there, I was like, yo, bro, the last number I saw was like at 30. He said, no, bro, we made it. I was like, yes. That is such a win. I just love to see an entrepreneur win. And that is one of the biggest takeaways for me, is the entrepreneurship side of it. Seeing that somebody came up with an idea, right? And there were a number of people there that shared their stories. And that's another facet to Minutes and Hours that I absolutely love. So, as you see here, me walking through and looking at every watch, Maurice Lacroix. I'm just looking like Glasuit. Well, I'm looking at every brand that's represented, but I had to take a step back and look at the crowd. I'm seeing how people are moving around. I'm looking at the questions that, you know, that's being answered. I'm looking at the enthusiasm of all of the people. And one thing that I will say that Rich did, you know, and I was going to save this for the end, but there's a lot of walking. It gets hot. I mentioned this during my live, and you can suffer fatigue walking through these events. I'm telling you, you'll be tired at the end of the day because you got to think you're bending over the table, you're looking, you're twisting, you're talking to people, man. You're like, you're trying to get to certain things. People that's coming there to, like, if they learned about a brand that they like, and they're like, you know what? Here, take my money. I saw one guy bought 3 watches from 3 different companies. Another guy bought a G-Shock. And I mean, it was all over the place, man. People were just doing stuff. And the one thing, they had a chiropractor there. They had the bar, but they had a water. Like, the water is essential. And good job for doing that, man. And these are small things. You're like, who cares about that? This is a watch event. When you fall out, if you've never been, you wouldn't understand. There's a lot of walking, man. There's a lot of, I mean, you just don't know in that space that he had, that he, like on the 15th floor, and you had visuals. I mean, it was beautiful on either side. Didn't matter where you went. There was a sight. Loved it. But you can suffer fatigue in there, and I think he did a good job. Plus, it was wide open. There were people that were handicapped there, right? And it was enough space for them to get through. If you needed a wheelchair access, there was enough space for you to get through. Another great job, how everything was set up. Was this worth our time? Was it worth my time? Was it worth your time if you've never been? Well, I'll tell you this, leading into my overall view of Minutes and Hours 2025, Chicago. CMA comes every year, right? We get to see a display. We get to listen to this age-old company, this family-owned company talk about the importance of this brand, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail. Great display, right? But last year, they had opportunity for people to build a watch, and I don't think enough people signed up for it. This year, right, and the price tag on that thing, just getting it out the way, I think it was like $2,600, right? And I believe they offered a discount on that. Yes, they did. They offered a discount on that. But for the future, if you decide to go to any one of these classes or going to Minutes and Hours, because he has some other calendar dates, if you can make it, and CMA is there and they offer that class, do it. Do it. One, you get the experience. How many people can say, I built my own watch, right? This isn't a Seiko mod. The Seiko mod community is amazing, but this isn't a Seiko mod. This is a family-owned business that is teaching you, and they got professional people, and they held the class on Sunday, which I wasn't able to be there, but I watched it. I'm leaving the link to Minutes and Hours. Go check out the pictures on Instagram. It was dope. But what do I think about Minutes and Hours? It is a great experience. It does give you an opportunity to look at different brands. I give an A+ on that. There was a young lady there. I think she's the youngest watch creator, right? Vendor, business owner that I know. Wow. So your company is 3 years old, and this is your baby. This is your baby. And you look like a baby. You're like really young, like fresh out of college or something.
Kind of. No, I'm 25.
Damn! It was amazing. But I wouldn't have found out about her without coming to the show. So, yes. The brands, phenomenal. Location, A+++++, 5 flames. The energy, right? It's organic. It was feeding off the crowd. The people were buying stuff. They were enjoying it. They were looking at it, and they were seeing how enthused some, like new brands. I said North Star in the last time. It's Northern Star, right? execution, the delivery that Rich Park and his team gave, I have to give a major plus on that one, man. So what do I think about this? They had water, they had a chiropractor, they had drinks, watches, and they had a great breakfast. It was good food there. Man, what else could they do? Only other thing I can think of is having a sit-down talk with, some of the vendors, interviews, what's new, it's just like, they had WGN was there.
English design, Swiss made. So what you're looking at here is dive watches, which most of us don't really dive.
I grew up on WGN and I was a little kid watching Bozo. So, listen, my rating for this event, it was the best minutes and hours I've ever been to. I thought last year was pretty good. It was a bit crowded. The way they had everything, the upstairs, downstairs, the location, it was cool. And I thought for the time it was good. But this one blows that one out the water. I'm just being honest. I think this one was hands down one of the best events, man. I loved it. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? It was worth the drive coming up from Indianapolis, man. It's still, what, 3-hour drive, if you know what I'm saying, through traffic and stuff, going downtown. It wasn't too bad. But it was well worth the trip. There were people that came a lot further than me. So highly recommend that you check it out. And I think this was a great event to highlight the independent and microbrands.
Esse maison não pode estar por lá.
Got just as busy as Christopher Ward. Oh my God.
They give me all these chairs, I can't even sit in them, man.
That's the decoration.
Yeah.
Lastly, what was my favorite? Who do I think did the best? Who did the least? I was not a fan of Core watches for some time. I thought that 7 Deadly Sins was the best watch they offered, just because of the design and the aesthetics and stuff like that. But I wasn't a fan of the rest of their watches. However,
something like that, and we launched them at a different watch fair. We had folks lining up outside the door at like 7 a.m. to buy them. Handed out tickets to anyone who was in line and didn't get to the end of the line. Crazy. Lots of fun.
Completely changed my outlook on the watches this time around. I thought that, that what they offered, and they do titanium.
Yeah, we have our team overseas that basically selects the stones and cuts them and places them, makes sure that they don't have fragmented. And so that's this watch. And then the next collection here is our...
And I'm like, that right there is dope. So I have to give Core credit for what they accomplished this year with the brand. I like it. But Oak and Oscar had to be my runaway, my takeaway watch brand for this year. And it's not just because they're from Chicago, but what they've accomplished. Now, I was looking at, there was a couple of criteria for me. I was looking at who had some great designs. And Berndardt, I'm definitely going to get that. That is in my wheelhouse of watches for a number of reasons. You're getting a lot of watch for a great price, something that's affordable for me. But Oak and Oscar, regardless of what the price is on that watch, I want to have one in my collection. I think Oak and Oscar, hands down, had the best offering there for me. Okay? That does not take away from Johann's. I like Johann's. I like Glassut Mule. Rado, of course. Bernhardt. Trafford. Quit playing. Cincinnati Watch Company. Nomadic. Bro, these are just a few companies that I absolutely love. So when it comes to the best to last, I would have said Core was in the very end of the tier, but core, bro, don't be surprised if you see a core come up in my collection at one point. So I'm going to say it's not across the board an even sweep. There was one value brand in there. They were like $150 to $175. They were cool, but that wasn't my cup of tea because great guy, great presentation, but he was more of like coming into the mall, buying watches and stuff like that. So I'm going to put him at dead last. But my takeaway is Oak and Oscar, man. So, hey, I know you guys have, if you were there at the show and you made it this far, please let me know, who do you think had the best watch offering at Minutes and Hours, man? I would love to know about it. I would love to hear about it, man. And for everybody else that didn't get a chance to go, man, go over there and check out Minutes and Hours. Look at the WGN coverage. Look at Farr And Swit. Shout out to my man Adam for featuring me on his channel. It was crazy. It was crazy. I didn't even know the cameras roll. I thought we were just having a conversation. I wasn't paying attention to that, man. So thank you guys for watching, man. I appreciate you guys being here for this premiere. You guys are awesome. You guys are dope, man. And if you missed the premiere and you watching this and you're not a part of this, man, then click that thing. You feel me? Right there. Right there. Y'all know the slogan, man. Y'all know my saying, man. Until the next lightning strike, ladies and gentlemen, y'all be blessed.